students, welcome to Interconnecting Physics. Today we will be discussing electric potential energy of a system of charges in detail and also equipotential surfaces. So without wasting time, let's get started. For regular updates, you can follow me on given links. So in last video, we studied about electric potential difference that was denoted by delta V, which is equal to delta W divided by Q naught, that is work done in bringing a test charge Q naught from point A to point B in the electric field of some source charge, and which is equal to minus integration from A to B E dot dr, that is line integral of electric field. Then we studied electric potential, and I have also told you that electric potential difference is the basic important quantity in physics. Electric potential is not the basic quantity, okay? And the electric potential is denoted by V, which is equal to work done. Which work done? It is the work done in bringing a test charge from infinity to point B in the electric field of some source charge, and it is equal to minus integration from infinity to B E dot dr. Then we studied electric potential due to point charge, which is equal to V equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q. What is Q? Q is the source charge divided by R. And you see here V is inversely proportional to R. That is, as R increases, potential will decrease. Okay. Then we studied electric potential due to a dipole, which is V equal to P cos theta 4 pi epsilon naught R square, where P is electric dipole moment. Where P is electric dipole moment. Now the question is, why we study electric potential difference? What is the need of electric potential difference? So I'll explain you with example. Suppose we have two beakers filled with equal amount of water, and they are at the same height from the ground, and they are connected with some pipe. Now you see, this is beaker A, this is beaker B. Is there any flow of water from A to B or B to A? No, because both beakers are at same height and both beakers have equal amount of water. So if you want that water flow from A to B or B to A, then we have to raise the one beaker's height. Suppose we have raised beaker A and beaker B is at lower height, and again they are connected with some pipe. Now you see, water will flow from higher height to lower height. In the similar manner, we see if we have a copper wire, then is there any flow of current in this copper wire without any trigger? No, because we are not triggering this copper wire, we are not giving connection to this wire. If we want that current flows through this wire, we will have to develop some potential difference. Suppose at point this the potential is 3 volt. At point this potential is 5 volt. So current will flow from higher potential to lower potential. Okay, if I is the current, then that will flow higher potential to lower potential, and this is the potential difference, that is 5 minus 3 equal to 2 volt. This is the potential difference. If we want the current flows through a wire, we have to develop some potential difference through this wire. Okay, so now in last video we studied about electric potential due to point charge and electric potential due to a dipole. So let's have some differences. Electric potential due to a dipole and electric potential due to a point charge. So in point charge we saw the formula was 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R. So it means V is inversely proportional to R. And electric potential due to a dipole, the formula was P cos theta divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. So here potential is inversely proportional to R square. Number 2, electric potential due to an isolated point charge is directly proportional to Q. If we take capital Q as source charge, then it is directly proportional to Q. And electric potential due to a dipole is directly proportional to the dipole moment. Okay. Electric potential due to an isolated point charge has the same value at all points equidistant from the isolated charge, because electric potential due to a point charge has spherical symmetry. Suppose if charge is present over here, then at every point the value of electric potential will be same, because at this sphere the value of R will be constant. Okay. But in case of electric potential due to dipole, we saw on equatorial line of the dipole the potential was 0. But on axial line the potential decreases as the value of R increases. Okay. Now relation between electric field intensity and potential. It's very important relation, and we have to derive here E equal to minus dV upon dR. The relation between electric field and electric potential. Okay. So for this, let's consider 2 points A and B in the electric field E vector. Okay. Due to point charge Q, this is the electric field due to point charge Q, the source charge Q. This is the electric field of this source charge. Okay. Assume that points A and B are very close to each other, so that electric field at A is equal to electric field at B. Means they are so close to each other that electric field at these points is same, that is E. E is here, E is here. So that electric field intensity between A and B is uniform. Now let Q naught is the positive test charge at point A. Now the force acting on this test charge due to this electric field will be F equal to Q naught E. Okay. Now the direction of the force will be same as that of direction of electric field. Okay. If electric field in the positive x-axis, that means this electrostatic force is also in the positive x-axis, and you see this source charge is positive, this test charge is positive. If both are positive, this electrostatic force will be repulsive force. Okay. This electrostatic force will be repulsive force. Due to this repulsion, this charge Q naught will move away from this source charge. But what we have to do here, we have to bring this test charge close to source charge. Okay. So work done to move the test charge from point A to point B through the distance dr is given by. If dr is small distance, then we have small work done, that is dw equal to F vector dot dr vector. Okay. Now substitute the value of F here, that is Q naught E vector dot dr vector. Now open up this. You know dot product of two vector is A dot B equal to AB cos theta. So we use this relation here, E dr cos 180 degree. Why cos 180 degree? Because due to electrostatic force of repulsion, this Q naught charge is moving along positive x-axis, that is in the direction of electric field. But we have to displace this charge Q naught towards negative x-axis, that is towards source charge. It means displacement is in this direction, and force which was in the direction of electric field, that is in this direction, means electric field. Okay. Then you see the angle between E vector and dr vector is 180 degree. Okay. 180 degree, and cos 180 is minus 4. Okay. When we put this value, we get minus Q naught E dr. Now divide dw by Q naught. You see what is dw over Q naught? It is the change in potential. It is the change in potential, that is definition of potential difference says dV equal to dW over Q naught. Now this dW over Q naught becomes dV, which is equal to minus E dr. If we divide dV with dr, we get E minus E, or we can say E is equal to minus dV upon dr. So this is the required relation, that is the relation between electric field and potential. And this dV upon dr is called as potential gradient. Potential gradient. Okay. Potential gradient. What does gradient means? Suppose we have pressure. If change in pressure divided by change in distance. Then we called it as pressure gradient. Okay. If we divide velocity divided by distance, we call it as velocity gradient. Velocity gradient means any quantity when divided by change in displacement, then that quantity becomes its gradient, that is pressure gradient, velocity gradient. So dy by dr is called potential gradient, that is rate of change of potential with distance. Rate of change of potential with distance. And the negative sign shows that the result is E equal to minus dV upon dr. Here negative sign shows that direction of the intensity, the electric field intensity will be in the direction of decreasing potential gradient. Means the direction in which electric potential gradient will decrease, the electric field will be along that direction. Okay. So we conclude electric field is in the direction in which potential decreases. And number 2, the magnitude of electric field is equal to the potential gradient. If we took magnitude, then you see E equal to dV upon dr. Means if we take magnitude, then electric field intensity will be equal to potential gradient. Now you know what is the units of SI unit of electric field. Electric field was force divided by test charge, so Newton Coulomb inverse. And from here the units are potential is measured in volt, distance is measured in meter. So it is volt meter inverse. So Newton Coulomb inverse equal to volt meter inverse are the same units, and these are the units of electric field. Okay. So it means SI unit of electric field is same as that of potential gradient, that is 1 volt meter inverse equal to 1 Newton Coulomb inverse. It is very important according to examination point of view or competitive point of view. That is electric field has 2 units, that is 1 volt meter inverse and 1 Newton Coulomb inverse. Now electric potential is a scalar quantity, but potential gradient is a vector quantity. And E equal to minus dV upon dr is also valid for non-uniform electric fields. Okay. Now next, suppose let us clear this concept that E equal to minus dV upon dr means electric field will be along the direction of decreasing potential gradient. Let's see this. Suppose we have uniform electric field in the region directed along right, means positive x-axis. If the region has 3 points A, B and C. Okay. Then relate the electric potential at B, A, B and C. Okay, you see here we know that E equal to minus dV upon dr. Okay, and these points A and B are at the same position in the electric field. It means potential at A will be equal to potential at B. Okay, but what is the potential for point C? You see from this relation, the electric field in the direction of decreasing potential. Electric field in the direction of decreasing potential means electric field is going in the positive x-axis. It means along positive x-axis the potential will decrease. Means at point C the potential value will be less than VA and also less than VB. Okay, that is the potential at points A and B are equal, and the potential at C is less than the points A and B. Okay, now let us discuss equipotential surfaces. Equi means equal or same. So a surface at every point of which the value of electric potential due to charge configuration is same. Suppose we have point charge Q and voltage around this, potential around this is in the form of spherical symmetry. So means potential here is same, potential at this point is same, potential at this point is same, potential at this point is same. So such surface is called equipotential surface. Okay, and the charge configuration here means that due to equipotential surface due to a point charge, equipotential surface due to some electric field, uniform electric field, equipotential surface due to same charges, same sign charges, equipotential surfaces due to some dipole. So these are the configurations. Okay, and the surface at every point of which the value of electric potential is same, that is called equipotential surface, or we can say an equipotential surface is the locus. Locus means path. Okay, So locus of all the points in the medium at which electric potential due to charge configuration is same, means locus of all the points. We take only that points at which the value of potential is same. Then we retrace that points. Okay, this is the locus. This becomes path. Okay. Now number 1, equipotential surfaces for an isolated charge or point charge. So here configuration is isolated charge. So due to this isolated charge, what is the type of equipotential surface? That is we have to discuss. Suppose we have a isolated charge, okay, and the potential of isolated charge is V equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R, that is V is inversely proportional to R. If we draw a sphere of radius r around this Q charge, then we see at all points on this sphere the potential is same. Let us say it is V1 here. Then we increase the radius and we draw another sphere. Let us say the value of potential is V2 here. At every point the value is V2. Then we increase the radius and draw another sphere. Let us say at every point of which the value of potential is V3 and it is same. Okay. Now this V1 is same at every point on this sphere. This V2 is same at every point on second sphere. This V3 is same at every point of the third sphere. This V4 is same at every point of the fourth sphere. Why same? Because the value of V1 is same at every point because the radius is same at every point. Here the radius is same at every point. Okay. So this surface 1, 2 and 3, these are called equipotential surface. Equipotential surface. Okay. And here the equipotential surfaces for an isolated charge are in the form of concentric spherical surfaces. Means if we are given with some source charge, if we are given with some point charge, then the equipotential surfaces for that charge will be in the form of concentric spherical surfaces. Okay. Now number 2, equipotential surfaces for uniform electric field. Suppose we have uniform electric field, and you know the uniform electric field is given by equidistant parallel lines. Okay. Now we draw some planes, plane 1, 2 and 3, and we draw planes in a manner such that electric field lines are perpendicular to these planes, are crossing these planes perpendicularly. Okay. Then potential on plane 1 will be V1 and at every point it is same. Okay. Potential on plane 2, it is V2 and it is same on every electric field line. And potential on plane 3, it is V3 and it is also same on every electric field line. So these planes which are perpendicular to electric field lines are equipotential surfaces. So the answer is the equipotential surfaces for uniform electric field lines are planes perpendicular to the electric field lines. And equipotential surfaces for a pair of similar point charges, similar plus Q plus Q. Okay. And similar, so electric field lines will be away from the positive charge, electric field line will be away from the positive charge, and these are same charges, so electric field lines are repelling, and these are the equipotential surfaces. These are the equipotential surfaces, because this is, if we don't consider this charge, then this charge will be an isolated charge and the potential equipotential surfaces are in the form of concentric spheres. And here if we don't consider this charge, then due to this charge the equipotential surfaces will be in the form of concentric spheres, and for both charges the equipotential surfaces is like this. Okay, it can be like this. Okay. Now number 4, equipotential surface for an electric type. You see here minus Q charge plus Q charge, and these are the electric field lines which starts from positive charge and end on negative charge. Okay. And the equipotential surfaces are in the form of concentric spheres, and these can be like this. Equipotential surfaces. Okay. Now properties of equipotential surfaces, very important. So let us clear the concept first. Number 1. No work is done in moving a test charge from one point to another point on the equipotential surface. Suppose we have some equipotential surface, okay, and we have 2 points here, point A and B. Since it is equipotential surface, it means potential at VA will be equal to potential at B. These both potential will be equal because we are on the equipotential surface, okay. Now suppose we have a test charge and we have to move this test charge from point A to B. Okay, so let's see the work done. You know, work done is change in potential, that is potential difference, equal to work done in moving a test charge from point A to B. Now we are on equipotential surface, so VA equal to VB means this side will be 0. Okay, means WAB over Q naught equal to 0, and Q naught cannot be 0. So what is 0 here? Work done in moving a test charge from one point to another point on equipotential surface is always 0, means no work is done in moving a charge from one point to another point on the equipotential surface. Number 2, the electric field is always perpendicular to the equipotential surface. So for this we have to use this relation, that is dW over Q naught equal to E dot dr. Now you know from first property, that is work done in moving a test charge from one point to another point is 0. So it means E dot dr will be 0. Now open up this, we get E dr cos theta. Since E cannot be 0, space between two equipotential surfaces cannot 0. So what will be 0? Cos theta. So it means theta is 90 degree and theta is in between electric field and dr vector. So it means electric field is perpendicular to the equipotential surface. Okay. Now next, equipotential surface tells us the region of strong or weak electric fields. Okay. You know E equal to minus dV upon dr. So dr will be minus dV upon E. Okay. On equipotential surface, dV is constant. Okay. Then dr is inversely proportional to E. Okay. What is dr? It is the space between equipotential surface. Equipotential surface. Suppose we have equipotential surface 1, we have equipotential surface 2. So it is the space between two equipotential surface, that is dr. So if dr is small, means the equipotential surfaces are very tight, they are very close to each other, then electric field will be large. So we will come to know that electric field is very strong in the region of very closely packed equipotential surfaces. If dr is large, means equipotential surfaces are very far away, then electric field will be small. So it means the equipotential surface tell us the region of strong or weak electric fields. dr is the separation between equipotential surface. If E is strong, then dr will be small, means equipotential surfaces are strong in a region of strong electric field. Okay, and surface will far apart in the region of weak electric field. Now number 4, two equipotential surfaces cannot intersect each other because at the point of intersection there will be two values of electric potential due to a point charge. You know what is point charge? What is the potential due to a point charge? It is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R. So at the point of intersection there will be two values, V1 and V2, due to one point charge, which is not possible. If we have one point charge, then we have one potential. Okay, there cannot be two potentials, which is not possible. So two equipotential surfaces cannot intersect. So these were the properties. Property number 1 was no work is done in moving a test charge from one point to another point on the equipotential surface, and number 2 was electric field is always perpendicular to the equipotential surface, and number 3 was equipotential surface tell us the region of strong or weak electric fields, means if the equipotential surfaces are very closely packed, then electric field will be strong. If the equipotential surfaces are move very far from each other, then electric field will be weak. And number 4, two equipotential surfaces cannot intersect each other because at the point of intersection there will be two values of potential due to one point charge, which is not possible. So let us discuss electric potential energy of system of point charges. Okay, electric potential energy of a system of point charges. So now, what is electric potential energy? Electric potential energy of a system of point charges is the work done, total work done in bringing these point charges to their respective positions from infinity to form a system of charge. Because if you want to form some configuration, if you want to form some system of charge, then we have to bring the charges from infinity to their respective position, and that work which was done in bringing these point charges from infinity to their positions is stored in the form of electric potential energy. So number one, electric potential energy of system of 2 point charges. Okay, suppose we have coordinate system O, X, Y, Z, and we have here 2 points A and B. But initially we will assume the charge Q1 and Q2 were at infinity. Okay, means this coordinate system is empty. We have to bring these charges Q1 at A and Q2 at B, but one by one. Okay, how will we bring these charges? One by one. Suppose the Q1 charge has been brought from infinity to point A. Now the work done in bringing the charge Q1 from infinity to a point A is 0. Why 0? It is very important question, that is the electric potential energy for a single charge is 0. Electric potential energy for a single charge is 0, because you see here in number 1 heading we have taken electric potential energy of 2 point charge, not 1. Why not 1? Because electric potential energy for a single charge is 0. Now you see here, because we have to bring Q1 charge at point A, but Q2 is at infinity. So it means there is no electrostatic force of repulsion, there is no electrostatic force of attraction, there will be no electric field, and there is no potential because there is no charge present over here, because Q2 is at an infinity. You see here, because we are bringing Q1 charge from infinity to point A, where no charge is present over here. Okay, so it means if there is no charge, then electric field will be 0 here, potential will be 0 here. If potential is 0 here, then work done will be equal to Q into V. So work done in bringing the Q1 charge, in which potential? No potential is here, so potential will be 0, and the work done in bringing a single charge is equal to 0. Hence electric potential energy for a single charge is always 0. Okay, so you see here, we know that work done in bringing the charge from infinity to a point is Q into V. But step 1, you see step 1, when Q1 charge is brought from infinity to point A, the work done will be 0, because V equal to 0 in the absence of any source charge. Okay, now place Q1 charge at point A. Now bring the charge Q2 from infinity to point B. Now at this time, there exists Q1 charge and there is a potential of Q1 charge, that is V1. Now we are bringing Q2 charge in the potential of V1. Okay, so work done will be Q2. Work done in bringing a charge Q2 from infinity to point B in the potential V1. V1 is the potential of charge Q1 at point B. Okay. So what is V1? You know what is the potential due to point charge? 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. Source charge is Q1 over what is the distance between A and B? It is R2 minus R1 modulus. Okay. So what will be the work done? It is the Q1, Q2. Q1, Q2 over 4 pi epsilon naught. We write R2 minus R1 as R12. So this is the work done in bringing test charge Q2 from infinity to a point B. Okay. Now this work done will be stored as potential energy, electrical potential energy, that is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1, Q2 over R12. Now number 1. The most important point, the potential energy of a system of point charges is positive if both charges are of same sign. You see, if Q1 is negative, If Q2 is in negative, negative will be positive and the potential energy will be positive. If Q1 is positive, Q2 is positive, positive is positive, and electric potential energy is again positive. Okay, and the graph is like this if both charges are of same sign. And the potential energy of the system of point charges is negative if two charges are of opposite sign. Means if Q1 is positive, Q2 is negative, then positive negative will be negative and the potential energy will be negative. And this is the graph when both charges are of opposite sign. Okay. Now, electric potential energy of a system of 3-point charges. So suppose at this time we have 3 points A, B and C. And we assume initially Q1, Q2 and Q3 are present at infinity. Now we have to bring these charges one by one. Again, when we bring the Q1 charge from infinity to point A, the work done will be 0 because Q2 and Q3 are present at infinity and there is no potential over here because no charge is present over here. So work done in bringing the single charge will be 0, hence potential energy to bring single charge from infinity to a point is always 0. Now place Q1 here and bring Q2 from infinity to point B. Now Q2 is coming in the region of Q1, that is in the potential of Q1 V1. So what will be the work done? Work done will be Q2 into V1. Okay, Q2 into V1. What is V1? It is the 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 over R2 minus R1. Okay. Now, if we write R2 minus R1, R12, then work done in bringing the charge Q2 from point infinity to point B is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q2, Q1 divided by R1. Now, place this charge Q2 here. Bring the Q3 charge from infinity to point C. Now, Q3 charge is coming in the potential of Q1 and also in the potential of Q2. So, what will be the work done? Work done this time will be Q3 V1 plus Q3 V2. What is V1? Potential of charge Q1 at point C. What is V2? Potential of charge Q2 at point C. So this time work done is W123, which is Q3 V1 plus Q3 into V2. So what is V1? It is the potential due to first charge, that is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. Source charge is Q1 over what is the distance between points Q1 and Q3 is R3 minus R1 and Q2 and Q3 is R3 minus R2. Okay. Substitute these values over here, and if we write R3 minus R1, R13 and R3 minus R2 is R23. So result is W123 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q3 over R13 plus Q1 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 Q3 over R23. Now total work done in bringing all charges from infinity to their respective position to form a system of charges is this work done plus this work done, that is W12 plus W123. So substitute the values and get the result, and this work done will be stored as electric potential energy. Okay. Now this is the electric potential energy for a system of 3 charges. But in exam, if you are asked with prove that U equal to 1 over 2, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, summation from I equal to 1 to 3, from J equal to 1 to 3, Qi Qj over Rij, then you have to derive this. Now you see here, we have 3 charges 1, 2 and 3. So summation I equal to 1 to 3 and J equal to 1 to 3. Okay. But this vector, half vector, this is introduced because each term gets added twice. You see, if I equal to 1 and J equal to 2, then there is an option that I equal to 2 and J equal to 1. Okay. Means this time Q1, Q2 and this time Q2, Q1 over R12 over R12. So both are same. It means they will be added and result will be 2 Q1 Q2 over R12. So it means they have to be divided with 2 so that result will come only once, that is Q1 Q2 over R1. So that's why half factor is introduced, because each term gets added twice. Okay, now I is not equal to j. This is very important because we can't take I equal to 1, j equal to 1. If we take I equal to 1, j equal to 1, then q1 will be q1 square, and this term is not existing over here. Okay, so especially write I is not equal to j, and always introduce factor half. Okay, and this relation can also be asked by this, that is total potential energy in bringing the three charges will be 1 over 2 qi into vi. This can be written, take out half, take out summation I, okay, take out q I, and then summation j equal to 1 to 3 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught qj over rij. And what is this? This is the potential due to point charge. 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught q over r. So this is qj over rij, and this is vi. So 1 over 2 summation I from 1 to 3 qi vi, that is vi is the potential due to all the charges. So potential energy of the system of n charges. If this is the potential energy of the system for 3 charges, then potential energy of the system of n charges will be I equal to 1 to n, j equal to 1 to n. Okay. Now, potential energy of a charge is in an external electric field. It's very important, very, very important. And the difference between this topic and previously these topics, that is electric field, that is electric potential energy of a system of point charges. So what is the difference here? You see, here we have given with external electric field. We have given with external electric fields. Means we have to bring some charge from infinity to a point in the electric field, in the external electric field, and earlier we were not given with external electric field. Okay, but this time we are given with some external electric field. Okay, so let us suppose the external electric field here is denoted by E vector. Suppose here the external electric field denoted by E vector, and some source charge is present over here, but we are not concerned with that source charge. We are just concerned that we are bringing some test charge from infinity to a point in some external electric field, and this electric field is not due to these charges q1 and q2. No, this is not due to q1 and q2. This electric field is produced by some external source. This electric field is produced by some external source. Given charges, these given charges q1, q2 we take here should be small. Should be small, so that they will not disturb the position of external source. Okay, and we are not interested in the electric potential energy of source charge. We are interested to calculate the electric potential energy of these charges, that is q1 and q2. So let us discuss potential energy of a single charge in an external electric field. So let us suppose we have coordinate system and point P over here, and we have to bring some test charge Q from infinity to point B. Okay, means we have to calculate the electric potential energy of charge Q at point P, and it will be the work done in bringing a charge Q in the potential of some source charge. In the potential of some source charge means external potential of some source charge. So it is not zero here, because earlier the electric potential energy for a single charge was 0. But this time it's not 0, because this time the charge is coming in the potential of some external source, of some external electric field. So this work done will be stored as potential energy, that is U equal to Q into VR. Okay. Now the potential energy of a system of 2 point charges. Suppose we have A and B. We assume that Q1 and Q2 are at infinity. Okay. So let us bring Q1 charge from infinity to a point A. So work done will be W1 equal to Q1 into V into R1. Okay. So what is V R1 here? it is the electric potential at A due to some external electric field. The external electric field which we are given with. Okay. This time work done will not be 0 because Q1 charge is coming in the field of some potential of some external source charge. Okay. So V1 W1 equal to Q1 into VR1, and the work done in bringing Q2 charge from infinity to point B. From infinity to point B. Now this time Q1 is already present over point A, and Q2 charge we have to bring at point B. Okay. So it means Q2 charge is coming in the field of Q1 and also coming in the field of some external electric field. Okay. So this time W2, first work done will be when this charge is coming from infinity to some external electric field, that is W2 equal to Q2 VR2, and VR2 is the potential at B due to external electric field, and the work done in bringing a charge Q2 against the electric field of this will be W3 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 over R1. Okay, so this time the electric potential energy will be W1, which was given by this, and W2 plus W3. This W1, when Q1 charge has been brought from infinity to some external electric field, that is some external potential VR1, and W2 is the work done in bringing the charge Q2 at point B in some external potential, that is VR2. And again W3 is the work done in moving a test charge Q2 against the electric field of Q1, that is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 over R1 2. So this is the work done. This is the potential energy for a system of 3 charges in external electric field. Okay, so let us discuss units of electric potential energy. In SI, the unit of electric potential energy is Joule, denoted by capital J, and we know U equal to QV, and Q is measured in coulomb in SI and potential is measured in volt in SI. So 1 joule equal to 1 coulomb volt. Okay, so 1 joule is the energy required to move a charge of 1 coulomb through a potential difference of 1 volt. Okay, another units of electric energy are electron volt. You know, electron volt is not SI unit, but this unit is most widely used, especially in microscopic systems, especially in microscopic era. That is when we are talking about electrons, protons, neutrons, when we are talking about some subatomic particles, then we use the electric energy unit as electron volt. And 1 electron volt is the kinetic energy gained by an electron while moving through a potential difference of 1 volt. So 1 electron volt, what is the charge on an electron? 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb, and 1 volt is 1 volt, so it is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 joule. Means what is the relation between electron volt and joule? 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 joule. Okay, and 1 joule can be written as 1 over 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 electron volt. Another bigger units of electric energy are 1 kilo electron volt, which is 10 raised to power 3 electron volt, 1 mega electron volt, which is 10 raised to power 6 electron volt, 1 giga electron volt, which is 10 raised to power 9 electron volt, 1 tera electron volt, which is 10 raised to power 12 electron volt. And in the form of joule, you see the relation is here. So this was all about today's video. Thank you very much. If you want PDF notes, you can ask me in comment section, or you can follow me on my Telegram channel. Please like my video and don't forget to share and subscribe. Stay happy, stay healthy.